Councillor Mitchell, it's Sarah Goodall here. The live stream is now live.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So I think we are expecting a few more members to join us. We'll allow that to happen as we proceed. It is 12 o'clock, so I think we want to get the presentation done and allow time for questions. So we'll start. Welcome members to the fifth in a series of public-facing all-member briefings, reviewing progress made in delivering the Council's priorities for Cornwall. I'm Councillor Andrew Mitchell, Portfolio Holder for Housing, and this session will report on progress in delivering our homes for Cornwall. Done and allow time for questions. Could everybody please mute if they're not talking? Thank you. For the benefit of external viewers, the Council agreed the priorities for Cornwall at the start of the current administration back in June 2017, a month after the last council elections, and we have remained focused on the delivery over the past 4 years. As we count down to the next council elections in May, it feels appropriate to take a moment to reflect on how far we've come in delivering on the commitments we made to the people of Cornwall. That is why these briefings are public-facing. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to viewers from outside the council who may be watching. In addition to reporting on the progress on each of the priorities, these sessions will also reflect on the impact of the pandemic and the opportunities that we need to grasp to deliver out our new 2050 vision, together with some of the more immediate steps being taken in the 21-22 budget. Next slide, please. When setting the 5 priorities for Cornwall, we recognise the importance and urgency of providing affordable and decent homes that people can rent or buy. That came through loud and clear in the 2017 resident survey, when affordable decent housing was the second most mentioned quality of life measure requiring improvement. So having listened to the public, we agreed the 5 priorities under the Homes for Cornwall theme. That was to provide 1,000 homes through the council, raise the standards of private rented homes, support the community land trusts and housing associations to deliver homes in Cornwall, bring empty properties back into use, lobby to protect residents impacted by welfare reform, and reduce the number of people who have to spend more than 10% of their income to heat their homes. Next slide, please. We also agreed a number of measures that would define our success, namely the number of new homes provided through the council, the number of homeless preventions, the number of long-term empty properties brought back into use, and the number of homes that cost less to heat as a result of our investments. Throughout the course of the last 4 years, the council has remained steadfastly focused on delivering those priorities and measures. Despite dealing with arguably the most challenging set of circumstances faced in the history of local government, certainly in Cornwall Council's lifetime, we have enjoyed a high degree of success. Next slide, please. And this timeline captures just a small amount of the Council's Homes for Cornwall achievement since 2017, starting with the 2 housing development programme pilot sites in Bodmin and Tolvaden, and concluding by reaching the 1,000 homes success measure set 4 years ago. In between those 2 achievements, the council has delivered many more housing initiatives in range, in type, but all of them have contributed towards more people in Cornwall being able to call a place their home. I will highlight some of these in more detail in a moment, but I am really proud of what the council has delivered since 2017, especially given the challenging backdrop of austerity and the pandemic. Before going on any further, I want to pay credit to the council officers and our partners who made all this possible. It really has been a team effort to secure this level of improvement in such a relatively short period of time when you consider how long it takes to build houses, from site acquisition to planning to construction. And there are a lot more homes in the pipeline for 2021. Next slide, please. Those pipeline schemes are shown by the blue housing icons on the map, which, along with the houses we've already built, shown in green, and those currently under construction, shown in orange, demonstrate our commitment to providing much needed homes across the whole of Cornwall. That means we've succeeded in achieving our stretching success measure of providing 1,000 homes through the council over the past 4 years. Likewise, in terms of 2 other of our challenging success measures, I'm delighted we've brought 380 long-term unoccupied homes back into use, and at the same time prevented 2,600 households from becoming homeless. Next slide, please. Given the scale of the challenges faced and the ambition to set out in the original success measures, I wanted to focus on these 4 achievements in more detail. And that's bringing empty properties back into use, working to end rough sleeping in Cornwall, tackling fuel poverty, and helping to deliver over 10,000 new homes for Cornwall. Next slide, please. We are all aware of the housing pressures we face here in Cornwall and the need to provide more homes for residents. Homes that remain empty for long periods of time are a terrible waste of a vital resource when they could be providing a secure home to a family. In addition, many of these homes can be an eyesore and can be a blight on our neighbourhoods and towns. That is why bringing empty homes back into use has been such a priority. Next slide, please. In 2016-17, there were over 3,200 homes across Cornwall that had been empty for over 6 months, and in some cases for many, many years. This was at a level close to 1.5 times the national average. In 2018, we put additional resource behind a plan to expand resources and to extend our advice and assistance to bring empty property and homes back into use, where necessary, using enforcement powers to address the issue. Close to 400 homes have now been returned to positive use thanks to our efforts. In this year alone, we are on track to help turn around 160 homes. As a result of these efforts, empty homes in Cornwall are now at their lowest level since the council became a unitary authority back in 2009. Next slide, please. It is simply unacceptable in this day and age that anyone should be without a home and need to sleep on our streets. The risks and dangers of rough sleeping have been brought into sharper focus during the pandemic. I am therefore very pleased that thanks to our efforts and those of many partners, we have made a huge progress towards our goal that no one should sleep rough in Cornwall. Next slide, please. In 2016, Cornwall was among a number of authorities with the highest levels of rough sleeping outside of London. At the annual count that year, there were 99 individuals found to be sleeping out. In response, a comprehensive and funded plan was launched with partners to firstly help prevent people having to sleep out at all, but for those who did, to make sure that they were quickly supported and found emergency accommodation, and that they were then helped to move on to more settled accommodation to avoid them being at risk of returning to the streets. We have worked with a range of partners to expand outreach, health and specialist services, and to provide a range of accommodation. A particular highlight was the opening in 2018 of Coastline's new homeless shelter in Heartlands. As a result, and despite the impact of the pandemic, the number of rough sleepers at the annual count last November had reduced by 70% compared with 2016. Great progress, but with some 29 individuals still sleeping out, there is a lot more to do. And I'm sure all of you read the latest edition of the First magazine, where there was a huge discrepancy shown between the 4,700 people that the government believed were sleeping rough and homeless due to those annual counts by local authorities, to the 33,000 people that local authorities up and down the country have actually provided accommodation for in the Everybody In programme. So there was a lot of underestimated demand there, and we need to ensure that that is sorted, because for us to address the problem, we need to know how big the problem is. Next slide, please. Next, I'd like to focus on the important issue of fuel poverty. This is not just a housing issue. It is also about low incomes and health inequalities, and it reflects the challenge we face to improve the energy efficiency of many homes in Cornwall to radically reduce their carbon emissions. Over a fifth of carbon emissions are generated by housing. If we address the issue, as we must, to achieve our carbon neutral ambitions, we will also make a huge impact on fuel poverty. Next slide, please. In the most recent figures from 2018, they show that Cornwall suffers from relatively high levels of fuel poverty, 1 in 8 households compared with 1 in 10 nationally. Through the Cornwall devolution deal, we secured additional powers and flexibilities to help address this and to enable households to access ECO funding for improvements. The Winter Wellbeing Partnership has brought together the Council, the NHS, Inclusion Cornwall, Citizens Advice and our energy partner SSE to reduce fuel poverty and improve health. Together, we have helped 3,500 vulnerable households make their homes cheaper to heat. We have also been successful in attracting government funding for pilot projects for retrofit, renewable programmes and through the Green Homes Fund. As Cornwall's largest provider of social housing, I was very pleased to announce at this month's Cabinet our commitment to invest over £70 million between now and 2030 in bringing our council homes up to a carbon neutral standard. Next slide, please. I think we all recognise that we have for some years been facing a housing crisis, both nationally and also most definitely here in Cornwall. And at the root of this is a long-term failure to provide the new homes and crucially affordable homes that people need. The council can't solve this crisis alone. It depends on government, house builders and the wider construction industry too, but we can make a significant difference. Next slide, please. Since 2017, over 10,000 new homes have been delivered in Cornwall. This is a significant increase and has brought us back in line with the targets in our local plan. More importantly, 1 in 4 of those homes are affordable, either for shared ownership or for social and affordable rent. And I am very pleased that Cornwall has been amongst the top performing authorities nationally for the provision of affordable homes in recent years, and actually holding the #1 spot for this year and last. As well as enabling others, we have for the first time in 40 years got properly back into the business of directly delivering new homes ourselves. We have a new development company, Treveth, who are setting the standard for quality market rented homes. And we have begun to deliver a new generation of council homes with a commitment to invest over £200 million over coming years. We are also supporting community groups and land trusts to meet the needs of their local areas. Next slide, please. So this is what a lot of today is about. I think it's an absolutely fantastic milestone and one we should all on Cornwall Council be proud of. So as you know, one of the priorities we set back in 2017 was for 1,000 homes to be provided through the council. I'd now like to show a short film about how we've achieved this incredible milestone and the difference these homes are making. Thank you, Matt.
really excited. The kids are delighted. It's a lot bigger house. They've all got their own bedroom. We've made it our home and feel really happy.
My rent was too high and I was privately renting. And then I was offered this house, so I took it. Yeah, it's so much nicer.
I love it. It's everything I've always wanted. Nice big kitchen, big bedrooms.
So back in 2017, we made a commitment to the people of Cornwall that we would provide 1,000 good quality homes to help meet the needs of our residents. We committed to putting in the hard work, the planning, funding and resources to make sure we provide the right homes in the right places to meet local needs so our children and grandchildren have a better opportunity to stay here in Cornwall. We've worked hard to safeguard the assets of our beautiful duchy, the landscape, the environment, the heritage, and balance those considerations with the need to provide new, good quality homes for our residents. We committed to work with local housing associations, town, parish, and local Cornwall Council councillors and partners to provide bespoke solutions to local housing need and build high quality, energy efficient homes that are less expensive to run. We have now achieved this incredible milestone of enabling and providing 1,000 new homes. To get to this point, we've taken advantage of all the opportunities available to us, including massively increasing delivery potential with the housing revenue account following the removal of the borrowing cap in late 2018. We have put resources in place and committed to an ambitious programme of over 1,700 new homes, mainly for social rent and shared ownership by March 2028. This has been backed by over £205 million of new funding, which will enable hundreds and hundreds of local families to secure a new home that is genuinely affordable to them. There are also schemes we delivered in partnership with colleagues from Adult Social Care, which have seen 2 specialist schemes built for adults with learning disabilities in the St Austell and Penzance areas, and we now have a 3rd for the Launceston area in the planning system at this time. Early in this administration, we recognised the need to provide homes of all tenures to reflect the different needs of our communities. To deliver this, we've invested the first 200 million in developing new housing, mainly for market rent. This is being delivered through our partnership company, Trevet, which was established specifically for this purpose and will turn a profit to the council. The project has so far delivered 113 homes at Bodmin and Tolvatten for market rent, social rent, shared ownership, and a small number of homes for open market sale. 28 high quality flats were also completed in Newquay just before Christmas and are due to be occupied in the next coming weeks.
Delighted to live in this house and remain in the village. We've been living in the village for I've been living in the village for 11 years. We've been waiting for this to arise for a few years, a long time. We're all really excited. The kids are delighted. It's a lot bigger house. They've all got their own bedroom. We've made it our home and feel really happy about it.
They've not had a flat before.
You've not had a flat before, and your flat is superb, isn't it? So who cleans your flat now?
Between me and Maria.
Maria's a member of staff that supports. So does she do it for you?
No,
or does she say, come on, let's do
She tells
this?
me what to do and then she just goes away with me.
Yeah, so she's supporting you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that?
Better than before.
This is just the beginning though. Homes are currently under construction in Liskeard and a further phase of development in Bodmin scheduled to commence before the end of March. Large sites are also expected to start construction shortly at Redruth, Newquay and Launceston. All affordable homes built within the Housing Revenue Programme or by Trevet will be allocated or rented to households that have a strong local connection to Cornwall, either through residency, ex-residency, employment or close family connection. We don't And I cannot stress this strongly enough. We don't build homes for other local authorities to house their residents. We've worked with Vistry and Live West to provide over 290 new homes for open market sale, affordable rent and shared ownership on surplus council land throughout Cornwall. This is known as the Homes for Cornwall initiative and has been hugely successful. Approximately 45% of all homes have been provided as affordable housing across the programme. Homes have been built at Short Lanes End, Madron, Wadebridge, St Breward, Penzance and Mares Iron. Crucially, land receipts generated by this project are also ring-fenced to enable us to provide further affordable housing in the future. One of the council's other innovations over recent years has been to launch its own direct funding programme for registered providers, over and above Homes England's National Affordable Homes Programme. Since inception, nearly £50 million has been invested or committed in 3 phases, the most recent of which began in April 2019 with an allocation of just over £15 million of grant funding to deliver affordable homes of all tenures throughout the Duchy. Through all these initiatives and a handful of others, we've delivered on our promise to provide 1,000 good quality homes and have created a model to continue delivery on an even larger scale over coming years.
Coastline have almost 5,000 properties across Cornwall and have an ambitious development programme building around 300 homes a year, which is almost a third of all of the new affordable homes built in Cornwall. Cornwall Council have always been a key partner and supporter of Coastline's work to provide homes and communities for real people to live in. We're proud to have worked with Cornwall on the Cornwall Council funded programme over the years and to have been part of the 1,000 Homes programme. We look forward to this key relationship continuing for many years as we work together to solve the need for great quality homes for the residents of Cornwall.
Here at Vistry Partnerships, we're really proud to work with Cornwall Council, our valued partner for many years. Our Cornwall Land Initiative is an excellent example of how we've worked together collaboratively to enable development, support growth and deliver new homes for people across the county.
In 2017, when I came in as leader, the 1,000 homes target was one of the key targets that we had and one of the manifesto commitments that we needed to deliver in this administration. I'm proud of what we've achieved and thank everyone in the project team for their considerable efforts to meet the Cabinet's aspiration to provide 1,000 new homes by the end of the administration. This is a huge achievement. But we know that Cornwall needs more homes, both to rent and to buy. This need is real, with more than 12,000 households registered on Cornwall Home Choice looking for housing. Very sadly, with the outbreak of COVID-19, we've also seen demand for temporary accommodation rocket, with 515 households living in this type of accommodation in November 2020, compared to approximately 290 households just 12 months earlier. During the pandemic, we've worked hard to build, commission and provide additional temporary accommodation in key locations to meet this need. As well as continuing our efforts to deliver regular homes throughout the Duchy, it's clear that we need to increase development of purpose-built, high-quality temporary accommodation schemes too, to ensure no one has to sleep rough in Cornwall. We must continue to rise to the challenge and seize the initiative to provide a range of homes to improve choice for local residents to meet their housing needs.
Well, I was bidding on the houses on Cornwall Home Choice, and my rent was too high and I was privately renting, and then I was offered this house, so I took it. Yeah, it's so much nicer and the area is lovely as well. It's going to be handy when they get a bit older with the schools and stuff, and there's schools literally just across the road, and it's a very good school as well.
Hello, my name is Frances Turner and I'm Managing Director of Ocean Housing, part of Ocean Group. We're a not-for-profit housing association based here in Cornwall and we own and manage 4,800 properties. So on behalf of everybody at Ocean Housing, I'd just like to congratulate Cornwall Council for achieving its fantastic milestone. So it's a huge thank you from us for all your grant funding support Without it, we simply wouldn't have been able to build as many homes and help as many people and invest as much money in the local economy.
Hi, I'm Alex from Local Housing, and I'm here down at Colby Place at our new regeneration project in Lady. Originally here there were 66 homes which we demolished. As you can see behind me, there are 10 of our new homes which we complete in July this year, with the remaining 50 homes completing over the course of the next couple of years. We've been really heavily supported by Cornwall Council, who under their new funding programme have given us £2.5 million towards the cost, which without that we just simply wouldn't be able to do projects like this.
Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm lucky enough to live in Buttercup Field, Bude, along with my husband and our 2 Jack Russells. So it's a nice modern house. Prior to moving here in June 2020, we had spent the last 4 years in a flat with no garden. So coming out here to have our own little garden is tremendous. Our quality of life has improved drastically, not only having the garden, but really the peace of mind knowing that we can be here for as long as we want, and it's our forever home and we love it.
When this Cornwall Council started back in 2017, we put the delivery of affordable housing as a key priority. So that's been a real achievement. But for the future, we've created Treveth and set that up with the resources it needs. So it's going to be building across 3 large sites specifically acquired for this process. Through our HRA programme, we've revolutionised the delivery of social rented housing, which hasn't been seen in Cornwall at this scale for a generation. And we've begun to make acquisitions and agree terms to buy small sites throughout Cornwall that will ensure local people have the ability to secure a home in their local area. We're especially proud of the fact that this programme has helped some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. We're also seeking to build older person specific homes in St Agnes to help free up under-occupied housing elsewhere in the village and provide sustainable access to purpose-built bungalows, and we're looking forward to doing that elsewhere in Cornwall. We will continue to work with our partners to make sure that this is just the beginning and that we keep new homes for our residents at the top of our priority list.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was the same for everybody else, but it was a bit jerky. But I have to say it's a really fantastic place that we've ended up here after the 4-year period. I'd just also like to thank those who contributed to the making of the video. Sarah, I thought I saw your hand go up. Did you want to say anything before we proceed?
No, sorry, Councillor Mitchell, it's fine, carry on.
Okay, thank you. So if we can go back to the slides, there's just a few more to finish off with. Thank you, Matt. Slide 16. We wanted to provide an example of how, through this priority, the Council has lived the values agreed in June 2017, namely, we listen, we are responsible, we act in the best interests of Cornwall. The 2017 resident survey revealed that affordable, decent homes were second only to highway repairs as a key issue for the Council needed to address. We listened and we responded with a commitment to build more homes that people can afford to rent or buy, enshrined within our Homes for Cornwall priority. Since 2017, the Council has invested many millions in providing a much needed increase in the supply of affordable housing, which has gone a long way to meeting the demand. Fast forward to the latest resident survey undertaken at the end of last year, and it is clear that from the public have recognised our efforts since 2017. The provision of affordable homes is now 7th on the list of key issues the Council needs to address. It is also pleasing to see that satisfaction with our housing service has doubled since 2017, which is in recognition of their endeavours to help people who require the council's support and assistance. We listened, we responded, and we remain committed to increasing the supply of affordable, decent homes in Cornwall. Next slide, please. Turning now to the impact of the pandemic on this particular priority, and it is fair to say that the situation could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for the incredible efforts of everybody involved in responding to COVID-19 from a housing perspective. The provision of good quality homes is already known as being critical in the health and well-being of our residents and communities. That is precisely why the council coordinated the COVID-19 emergency response to ensure that private and social tenants continue to receive essential services, and worked with Cornwall Housing and partners to provide emergency accommodation to homeless households and rough sleepers to make sure that they have somewhere safe to stay. We responded very swiftly to the government's call to bring everyone in from sleeping on the streets and to provide people accommodation during the lockdown and beyond. We quickly set up 5 emergency accommodation schemes in Truro, Newquay, Penzance and St Austell, and to date over 400 single people have been accommodated. We also repurposed social housing vacancies as temporary accommodation for homeless households, providing furnishing where required to enable immediate occupation and so that people could self-isolate if required. We worked with and supported the gypsy and traveller community, particularly those with no permanent site or on unauthorised encampments, to ensure that they were safe during the pandemic. Finally, we moved heaven and earth to secure appropriate move-on provision, particularly for households accommodated in time-limited provisions such as hotels or holiday parks, and to bring forward 70 longer-term housing units for single homeless people to avoid a return to rough sleeping. Next slide, please. We must capitalise on any upsides of the pandemic and ensure Cornwall bounces forward by addressing the perennial challenges that the last 11 months has only served to amplify. You only need to look at the last year's pandemic-focused resident survey to see the issues that many people are grappling with. 44% reported a decrease in their working hours, and we still have many thousands of people furloughed in Cornwall. 1 in 4 are struggling to pay bills, which could have an impact on evictions. And 2 in 5 residents saw their income reduce, particularly males aged between 18 and 34. And these issues may intensify as the impact of COVID on the economy and on employment continues. It will be critical to work with families and individuals and landlords to help them remain in their accommodation and to prevent them becoming homeless. However, there are also major opportunities ahead. We must build on the initiatives and partnerships that we have forged during the pandemic and seek to end rough sleeping in Cornwall. We can and should become the leading provider of new homes in Cornwall through the council's established development programmes and set the benchmark for quality of new homes. Also, we need and will extend our pilot retrofit projects to deliver large-scale programmes to decarbonise Cornwall's housing. It is because of these challenges and opportunities that the council and partners have grasped this moment and developed Cornwall's new 2050 vision. Next slide, please. The need to address the housing challenges underscores 2 of the 6 transitions in our 2050 vision, namely thriving places with decent homes. By 2050, street homelessness in Cornwall is ended, and every child has a secure home to grow up in. Vibrant towns and villages are well connected so people can easily access what they need to live, work and play. with twice as many journeys being made by green and active travel. Also, a digital revolution for sustainable living. By 2050, everyone is digitally included, and Cornwall is one of the best connected places in the world, making it the natural place to grow great business. Cornwall is at the forefront of using smart technology to help people live well and connect with social networks and services. Prior to the pandemic, both these transitions may have seemed unachievable, but our collective response to the challenges of 2020 has proved that together we can change our behaviours and take actions to make the 2050 vision a reality. Next slide, please. Our draft budget proposals for 21-22 will see Cornwall taking a number of steps towards delivering the 2050 vision, and those two key transitions by keeping a roof over the heads of the over 400 people we have helped in off the streets and who would otherwise have been at risk of sleeping rough during the pandemic, and help them move on to more settled accommodation. Working with around a further 5,500 individuals and families in Cornwall to help them avoid becoming homeless. Bringing a further 200 empty homes back into use and secure 750 more affordable homes for people in Cornwall next year. Making over 5,000 discretionary crisis grant payments and awards to people in Cornwall who are struggling to pay for food and other bills, totaling around £1.8 million worth of support from our Crisis and Care Fund, discretionary housing payments and exceptional council tax relief. And also, we wish to fund Citizens Advice Cornwall to help an estimated 5,000 people to get relief from unmanageable debts and access the benefits that they are entitled to. And if you can bring up the last slide, please, Matt. So hopefully, like me, you found this really uplifting, and thank you very much for attending. And we'll now take any questions. We've got, by the time scale, 20 minutes or so, so hopefully we'll be able to get through a good number of questions. So just to remind you, I've asked if you can do the hands up function. That should highlight onto my screen. So there we go. I've Loveday and Stephen Barnes are the first two, and we'll work down the list. Over to you, Loveday.
Yeah, it was just a quick question on dealing with homeless people and whether we're going from crisis to anything better, because I understand that there are issues with still having to place them in hotels. So what are we doing to, minimise the risk of that?
So we are drawing up plans. We are also bidding for extra monies from central government to enable us to move away from unsupported B&B accommodation for homeless people. We all know that a physical roof over the head is fantastic, but it's only half of the story. People in those situations really do also need support for many issues that have probably ended up with them being on the street homeless, and it needs to be a sort of double whammy at least. We are working on plans, and it is our intention, certainly over the next 6 months, that many of those unsupported hotel and B&B placements will be able to be removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just to come back on it, I mean, you will know of the incident of which I speak, no doubt, because it's related to family of residents in your area and a hotel adjacent to my area, which had somebody in who set fire to one of the hotel rooms. It's all very well to say within 6 months, but what have we got to deal with that sort of situation now? Have we got, urgency people who can go out and deal with that at short notice or not?
Yeah, so as you say, the incident that you refer to should never have happened. assessments are made of all those people, even under the emergency severe weather protocol, to make sure that nobody is being placed who will be a harm to themselves or to others. So something didn't quite work correctly there. As you say, it certainly impacted upon a local St Ives family. So I'm taking great interest as to what did and didn't go right, but I don't really want to get into the further details as I'm still waiting for those to actually turn up. But yeah, we have funding, we have increased the number of support workers, and you know, we are still getting people approach us. You know, everybody thinks, oh, the pandemic's coming to an end, hopefully, but we are still getting people presenting to ourselves as under the threat of being evicted, even though there is a ban, and everybody now should be given 6 months notice. You know, we are at some stages, we have been firefighting, but we do have plans. They are being drawn up, and they will see a progressive positive route out of this situation.
Thank you.
Stephen, you seem to have gone from the list. Did you still want to speak? Otherwise, it's Graham. No? Okay. Graham.
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
First thing I have to do is apologise, because I had a lot of trouble connecting to the meeting, and then someone turned up who wanted to see me halfway through the meeting. So you may have covered this point, I'm not sure. But one of the problems in Cornwall is not just simply housing, but where housing is too. And in particular, I've been watching the Cornish fishing programme that's on BBC and BBC Two on Mondays. And a lot of fishermen can't get a house, which is a bit ridiculous. So I'm not sure, are you working with a planning department as well to try and get planning regulations so that some Cornish people can actually live by the Cornish Sea, or are they just going to be allowed to go to incomers who can come in with bigger bucks and buy everything up?
Thank you for the question, Stephen. Could I just ask Councillor Dyer to switch his video off, please, and just have the person who's asking the question and speaking come up on the screen. So you're absolutely right, Stephen. Money shouldn't be the loudest talker. It's why I went into local politics, was to try and help. It's not just fishermen, it's most families, and you know, even affordable provision, which we can all be proud of, still isn't affordable for many people. So that's why I'm hopefully diverting the priority for the council to the HRA and social housing provision. But yeah, planning should be ensuring that we are insisting upon the contribution of affordable homes that's in the local plan be provided. What really annoys me is that applications are made, they're passed with a commitment to deliver a certain percentage of affordable, and within 2 months, developers come back to us saying, oh, actually, we've now looked at the site, there's a bit of a problem here. Oh, lo and behold, in Cornwall, there might be a hole in the ground. We can't now afford to deliver that amount of percentage. We want you to allow us to provide much less. And unfortunately, at the moment, within the planning system, financial viability out-trumps anything and everything, which is totally and utterly wrong. So I'll gladly work with yourself, Stephen, and everybody else in the council to make sure we are delivering affordable accommodation and then to be made into homes for local families, be it on the coastline or smack bang in the middle of Cornwall.
Well, at present, it looks like the only way we can get planning restrictions put on tourist accommodation is through the neighbourhood plans. St Ives, given their due, were the first out of the blocks, and then Padstow have said that they can't use new build houses for tourist accommodation, and it looks like this tourist industry is now becoming a bit of like poison ivy, really. Might look nice, but it'll kill you in the end. And that's what it seems doing. It seems to be the tourism is going all around the coast and forcing Cornish people out. We're going to end up in ghettos next, up on the council estate.
I don't think, you know, hopefully, as you say, with the right planning system in place and the right decisions being made, we're not going to end up with ghettos. We've made a huge, unfortunately, you said you couldn't, you kept dropping out, but I think the video showed that we have made huge strides here in Cornwall by the council. That needs to continue. This is just a start, not an end, and we definitely need to have a balanced approach. I'm not one of these people who believes tourism is the be-all and end-all, but it certainly is a considerable part of the Cornish economy. What we also need to do is providing houses is also to provide the jobs in other industries. Thank you. If we can move on to Graham now. Yes. No, sorry, Steve. I'm gonna. There's a fair few people, so two questions. To be fair, is all I'm going to allow.
I just thanked you. That's all, Andrew.
Okay, that's very kind. Thank you, Steve. Graham Code.
Are you sure? Can I come in?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Stephen Barnes. A quick reply to Stephen. One of the programs on that fishing series was about hail, and fair enough, we have got high-priced, high-quality dwellings being built down on the harbour side, but that same development has got 93 affordable homes further up the hill, which will come online eventually. And also in Hale, within about a mile of the harbour area, we've had 2-3 new estates built of market value houses, each with 30 or 40% affordable homes in, which are being given to people with local connections, which would include fishermen and agricultural workers. So, you know, that's all in the same town, Stephen. We're not forcing people away from the coast. We're making provision, but, you know, no high value seaside accommodation is ever going to be an affordable house. My main question, Mr. Chairman, and notice how polite I'm being to you, Andrew.
Yes, thank you, Graham.
Is that as a councillor who's quite active on social media and on 2 planning committees, I'm often contacted by members of the public saying, we don't want any more houses, there's too much houses, too much home building and so forth. And I try and tell them that we've got a national home building crisis, and I think it's 12,000 houses, affordable homes are needed for Cornwall, and we've got something like 400 or 500 households with connections to Hale that want affordable homes in our town. But they don't believe me. They think I'm making it up. You know, now, is there any way that Cornwall Council can better educate the public that there is a real need for homes? Our local secondary school, Hale Academy, they're called now, I think they're turning out, or the local schools anyway, turning out in the region of 100 new young people every year as they finish that level of schooling. And within 2 or 3 years, all those people, those hundreds each year, are going to need some sort of accommodation of their own. They can't live with mum and dad forever. So is there some way we can push it before members of the public? There is a house crisis. We are doing everything we can to resolve it, but that just does mean we must build more homes for local people. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Graham. We could spend all day and tomorrow discussing the response to that. Unfortunately, I do believe there is a mismatch on communications between the council as the planning authority and the public, and we do need to work on that without a doubt. Some people do see houses going up. They say the infrastructure needs to come. Certainly on our developments that we're providing housing with, we're doing that. I think it should be legislation. I think the government could step in and say that, you know, the new roads, the new doctor's surgery, the new school will come when the development starts, not when the 500th house has been provided. But we do need to work with the public. There is a message there. I think we need to show that we are doing all we can as a planning authority and a council to provide houses that are needed. I certainly haven't gone into local politics, as I'm sure everybody on the council didn't, to put millions of pounds in the back pockets of developers who then disappear back up country and don't come back again until they see another killing can be made. You know, I've no problem. People need to make profit when they do provide housing, otherwise they won't be there to provide the houses in the future. But it is our job to work with the community, sell the understanding and the message that homes are needed, and hopefully things will get better. But people will always object. I don't have an issue with that. That's their right. But we need to make sure that the message is at least out there, that there are Cornish families with Cornish children who need new housing. Thank you. Councillor Giles, hello.
Good morning. Sorry, I can't turn my screen on. If I do, I'm mostly going to disappear completely, and I'd hate to do that.
I hope you've got your saffron.
Pardon?
I hope you've got your saffron.
Not at the moment. Still looking for that. So if anybody got me, let me know. Going on from Councillor Jenkins' comment, you are aware of the unacceptable, I think, use of travel lodges, especially during COVID. You know, I've been supporting a 76-year-old disabled diabetic lady who was put in travel lodge and was there for 3 months before I got involved. And until I got involved, I think she would have still been there. No cooking facilities, living on pot noodles, just a kettle, no option to keep things cold, like milk for coffee, butter for sandwiches. You know, having to sign to say that they won't cook in their rooms or they would be immediately expelled from the place. This is no duty of care to these people. You know, I want to know it. You know, these people have no choice but to go out looking for food, paying through the nose for fast food, no vegetables in sight, unlimited funds. You know, where is our duty of care here? I feel this is quite shocking, and still people are enduring this. And I, you know, there were other options, I'm sure, of places where they could have used facilities. There's still people in travel lodge, and they've been in there for quite some time because I've been investigating, and I just think it's really sad, Andrew.
Yeah, it's certainly not ideal, and thank you for the efforts that you've been putting in, and other members who have been helping people. You're absolutely right, it most certainly is not ideal. That's why the council took the decision to purchase our own portfolio of 250 properties, so that there would be much less reliance on B&B provision. You're absolutely right. The big chains say you mustn't cook, otherwise you'll be out. We've asked if that can be changed, even just to accept a microwave, which we have put in all those other accommodation provision that we're providing. People have been provided with sort of basic fridge, small fridge and microwave to avoid exactly what you've just said, that people can't do it, so they're only living on cuppa soups, pot noodles and other branded products that only can be made with a kettle. It is not brilliant, and we are trying to do as much as we can to change that. As I say, where a landlord will allow us, we provided those basic cooking facilities, and we are looking at other solutions that possibly the B&Bs that we are using and the hotel chains, where you're not allowed to cook in the room, whether we can provide any hot food provision in a different way for those people. And thank you for raising it. Did you have a comeback question?
Just that I think that they're the priority in all this lot. If you're looking to move people out, you know, it really upsets me to think there were people in there at Christmas, and that the lady said to me there were families in there as well who weren't able to provide themselves with a Christmas dinner, and because of COVID, they were unable to go out and find that either. So, you know, they should be a priority now to make sure that they start eating properly.
Yeah, we do take it seriously. We are looking at what can be provided, and I totally agree and accept that the current situation for many people in temporary accommodation falls well short of what we would hope a fellow human being would have to endure. Mike McLennan. Hi, Mike, you're next.
Thanks, Andrew, for the presentation. You know, through my role at Cornwall Housing, I work pretty closely with you on all this. So, but I'm going to say that you've done a really good job here, and I've said at the meetings. The two concerns that I have, which you may know and you've heard from me before, I think home choice is still a bit like Dickens. It's very old. And I still think, you know, we mentioned many times, I think John Lloyd Owens aware and Phil Mason, it does need an overhaul because people are blur, don't really understand it. It needs to be cleaned up totally. And I don't just mean cutting people off who've been not applied, just have a real look at it and try and get it right for onwards. So that I think you would agree with. Secondly, I know we've all got examples in our own areas, divisions rather, but in St Stephen in Brannel, and I've mentioned this at the Cornwall Housing meetings, I'm like an employee on whatever home choice or problems, as we all are. I've got regular people. I've probably got about 8 at the moment who are looking for properties. They're nowhere near on home choice. I have to rely quite a bit on the housing associations to build in my area, and I've got 6 coming up. Will be ready for next spring in Foxhole. I spoke to the housing association. They said, Mike, they will be just for Foxhole residents. And I do check things like that when they're built in St Stephen's, and it's been true. But I'm just nervous that the way home choice at the moment, they might think, oh, they've been waiting a long time, da-da-da-da-da. But I'm being told it must be for Foxhole, and that's where my main problems are. So I just want to see if I can get, in inverted commas, some control on that, please, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, and I don't disagree with anything you say. Home choice is, you know, to be honest and fair about it, cumbersome, and we need to make sure that whatever system we provide, we remember why we're providing it. It's to actually help those 12,000 plus families who are on the register. It's not for us to make our lives easier or those at CHL, and I know staff at CHL on the home choice section do all they can to help those families provide suitable accommodation. The issue about who gets what is amazingly still down to the planning system and the planning applications and 106 agreements and how loose or how strict they are. So that's where it starts, actually, at the planning application and if permission is granted. But then through the home choice, and I do believe in the cascade system, you have 56 days where a property is advertised for the immediate parish. If nobody comes forward who meet the criteria, is then extended for another 56 days to the surrounding parishes. And again, if nobody fits the criteria, it then for another 56 days goes to Cornwall wide. So it's also wrong that we could possibly have a property, brand new property, that lies empty for, I can't work it out now, 192 days. You know, that's a waste of resource as well. So we need to make sure that we're building houses and allowing houses to be built in the areas where they're needed, and it does start at the planning application. Did you wish to come back?
No, I think you're going to come up that reply, and I agree with that. It's just me doing my work to make sure that my residents are aware of it and get cracking on it when it's available. So, okay.
Yeah, and thank you to you and Mary May and Jackie Gammon, who are the other two making up the 3 board directors at CHL, and the work that you all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are just a minute away from time. I only have one more hand up, which is excuse me, Councillor Julian Rand. So we might finish roughly on time. Oh no, and Mike Thomas has now joined that queue.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I just wanted to say it's more of a statement really and questions. Thank you, Andrew, and the council team and the cabinet for all you've achieved in the time you have with so many difficult circumstances to face, you know, limited resources as well within Cornwall. The presentation certainly lifted my spirits, and I'd like to believe that the Cornish population would be made aware of what has been achieved in any way we can, educated, if you like, as Councillor Code mentioned, and what is possible for them in the future, you know, that we're doing in Cornwall to help our people. I'd also like to say that I think Cormac, the Corsa, the group of companies actually, you know, Cornwall Housing, Cornwall Development Company in their ways, helping, funding, sorting, will continue to support everything that you're doing. You've helped so many people and families to a better standard of life. Very, very well done. Thank you.
And thank you, Gillian. But as I say, it is a wonderful day, a day that everybody involved at Cornwall Council, staff and all members alike can be and should be proud of. But as I say, this isn't the end. We've hit a target, but the job continues, and we need to do upscale our efforts to do even more in the future. Thank you. Mike Thomas, and with all due respect, hopefully Mike will be the last member who's asking questions, and we can finish roughly on time. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Very interesting as usual, a very good presentation. Just one observation. I noticed the display or area where housing is being built in very specific areas. Certainly Bude and that area is missing, and also Helston and the Lizard area. I think for the public to see houses all around Cornwall being built, we need to make sure every area of Cornwall is covered, and I'm sure you'd agree that if land could come forward, that would be good. Question, is it coming forward? And my last point, brilliant moving image is so important, and I hope the other members of the cabinet are watching, because I think every single part of Cornwall Council should be represented by moving image, and I really hope that areas like Cormac that do a fantastic job could actually also get into making a movie about their work. So a real compliment there to that moving image presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mike. I obviously agree with you that I think the video is stunning and really packs the punch which the topic deserves. And you're absolutely right. There are land coming forward in the pipeline, as they say. It does need, you know, we are certainly dedicated to providing affordable homes across the whole of Cornwall. I certainly want to see the housing revenue account through Cornwall Housing Limited, which is social housing. I want to see much more of that. Here in the West, unfortunately, our district councils in the day sold the housing stock, which is why it's all concentrated around Mid and East Cornwall, where they didn't, and they all joined up, and that housing stock was passed to Cornwall Council. So I wish to see CHL operating across the whole of the duchy, providing social housing which is affordable to local families on local wages.
Thank you.
Gillian, has your hand gone back up? No? Okay, well, thank you all. And as I say, it's been my privilege to be the cabinet member for homes for the last 4 years. I think the council has done absolutely amazing things with our delivery, not just in the housing numbers, but also helping people reduce their costs to heat their homes and also to take people off the streets. It's something, as I say, we can all be and should be very proud of, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.